Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. And I hope it's not raining where you are. Currently it's not raining where I am, but it's supposed to start back. So I want to talk about a few things. First of all, I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope you're wearing masks. I hope you're wearing gloves. And I hope you are staying in as much as possible. I know where I live, they kind of sort of just raised the safer at home thing. But there is no cure. There's no safe area other than your own home. So if you have to go back to work, I'm sorry. And if you don't, then stay in as much as possible. Hang out with your kids, play games or whatever. But on another note, so it has come to my attention that now, as some of you know, I do have a Facebook, I do have an Instagram, 2 of them, and I do have a TikTok. No, I do not have that crappy thing called Twitter. No, I don't have that. But it has come to my attention that someone in this very demented world has decided to message me saying that I am not a real human and saying that I need to grow up. Well, I have one teeny tiny itty bitty message to this said person. They know who they are. I will not grow up. And any person that decides to grow up, good for you. You 9 times out of 10 grew up in a very healthy environment with 2 parents. I'm not saying every healthy environment has 2 parents, but good for you. I did not grow up with 2 parents. I grew up with 1. My mother. No, that woman's not the healthiest in the world. Look at me. But I am pretty stable in my eyes. And I will continue to be into the lifestyle I am in. I'm sorry I'm messing with my hair a lot. It's been a minute since I've worn this. But the next person that tells another person to grow up and stop acting childish, maybe get to know that person before you make accusations. Because, as most of you know what I am. Oh, I'm not snatching my wig off today. I am a small bean. And if you don't know what that is, then click off this video because this ain't for you. Now, those of you who do know what it is, hi, how are ya? I am a little. No, I don't sexualize children. The next person who tells me that, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Because that's not what we do. No, I don't. I'm not okay with that part of the side that this is. No, I'm not. Oh gosh. I've not had time to trim these bangs, and I don't plan on it because, yeah, no. But back on the subject, I will never, and probably ever, not even when I have kids, I will not grow up. Why? These bangs are killing me. Because, what's the point? Like, give me a genuinely good reason why I have to. Because, let's be honest, when your kids are younger, and you only have one, why grow up when they'll have no one to play with? They'll be bored out of their godforsaken brain. And I could just be myself until they become very questionable. Even then, why keep your kids in the dark about what you are? Yes, they might judge you a little bit, but if you raise your children right, they will be supportive and they will love you because, one, you're their parent. Two, because why raise cynical children when you're not? Because if you can't accept people for who they are, then how are you ever going to make it in this world? Yes, it might be you and yourself, but at some point, if you're like me, you want kids. And if you don't want kids, that's cool. That's cool too. But you do you. I want kids. Obviously, I'm human. But, my man wants kids. But he's not going to try and change me because he knows it's not going to work that way. Because, regardless of what any cynical person on this internet says, I'm not going to change who I am. This wig and these bangs are killing me. But I'm not in my usual setting right now because my dog's got fleas all up in there. But it just bothers me when people tell other people to grow up. Like, what if they don't want to? They don't have to grow up. Let them be who they are. Like, damn. Also, don't try to bash people with your religion, okay? Like, because yesterday, somebody, not naming names, but an acquaintance from my middle school that I went to decided to, so I'm obviously on Facebook, Cecilia Robison, just my name. He messaged me and he was like, have you accepted God? And I'm like, no. No, I haven't. And he's like, I'm praying for you. And I'm like, don't. And he's like, you need Jesus. And I'm like, and you need Satan. And he was like, I have God on my hands. And I'm like, and I have power in mine. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And I'm just like, why did you come into my DMs and say this to me? He's like, because I know you're a troubled soul. And I'm like, am I though? And he's like, God told me to talk to you. And I'm like, did he really? And he's like, he told me to talk to you. Like, sincerely, God told me to message you. And I'm like, no. No, he didn't. And he's like, I am a preacher. And I know when God is talking to me. And I'm like, no. No. And he's like, do you need help? And I'm like, excuse me? No. And he's like, God told me that you will need help in the near future. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, what kind of help do you think God wants you to give me? And he's like, well, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. And I'm like, what? No. And he's like, I don't know if you need someone to talk to or someone in your life has a problem. And I'm like, no, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? And he's like, but if you ever need anything, you are always welcome to come to church. And I'm like, that's what you wanted to do to me. You wanted me to drive all the way to my hometown and come to church. And I'm like, honey, I'm not coming to Tellico. He's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, honey, I have not lived in Tellico for almost a year now. And he sent me like the big eye emoji. And he's like, you what? And I'm like, honey, I am engaged. I moved away. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, I look around and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty fucking sure I live in Lenore City, Tennessee, about an hour away from my hometown, honey. And he's like, God did not tell me that. And I'm like, because your God is dumb. Now, I'm not trying to bash people's religion, but when you try to put a shit on me and my life, we ain't gonna play that way. Now, if you believe in God, that's on you, honey. You do you. I'm not a cynical person. I don't care. Just do not push it on other people. Because if other people do not want to believe in God, then don't make them. It is our life. It is our choice to believe in what we want. Now, if it is your culture to believe in something, then that's fine too. But it is not, as an American, not my culture to have to believe in God. I can do whatever, however, and whoever I please. Because when it comes to religion, growing up, I was forced to believe in God. And it's just like, why? Why are we pushed to believe in God? Like, no. I'm sorry, I'm ranting on about this and it hurts, but like, don't get me wrong. I used to believe in God a lot. Like, I used to go to church every Sunday, every Wednesday, and I used to read and pray and all that jazz. Do I have soda left? Yes, I do. But after I turned, I want to say 16. Yeah, after I turned 16, I was like, I don't believe in this. And I'm like, I'm done. So I pretty much went on, and people were like, do you believe yet? And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I don't. And then it's just, okay, so a lot of you already know that I had to go to rehab. This hair is just driving me nuts. I had to go to rehab for different reasons. I don't remember if I told the truth on here. I'm not going to. But anyway, when I was in rehab, I was told to find God and ask for his forgiveness, and that would be the only way to fully recover. Well, for one, I faked it till I made it, but that's besides the point. I had a therapy one of my very last therapy sessions until I left. I had a Bible that my grandmother bought for me. It was $80. $80 Bible. I still have that thing. It's in my office right now. But I had it with me at school because I knew I was going to have a therapy session. So when she called me, when she had to come get me for a therapy session, she was like, oh, you have a Bible? And I'm like, yeah, my grandmother bought it for me. So I just figured I'd bring it with me. She's like, so you've accepted God? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And she's like, why not? You have a Bible. You're carrying the Holy Word. And I'm like, listen. I was like, girl, when we got to her office, I'm like, listen, you need to learn now. I'm like, I am not a holy person. I'm not a God person. I'm not anything. I'm not going to ever get saved. I'm never going to do all that. And she's like, but you need to. You need to find God. And I'm like, see, that's the thing. I don't need to find him. Y'all want me to find him. And they're like, you have to, honey. I'm like, no, I really don't. And that same day, after school, and God, my lip itches. And after everything was over, at the end of my day, I went back to my dorm, well, my unit, and I was like, can I call my mother? And they were like, yeah, honey, of course. So I called my mom, and I'm like, Mother? She's like, yes. And I'm like, do I have to find God? My mom froze in that moment. I couldn't hear her. She wasn't talking. She froze. And she's like, who told you you had to find God to get you out of this situation? And I'm like, my therapist. And she's like, you don't need God, but she's like, I don't want to force you. She's like, but maybe think about it. And when I tell you, my mom's not a very religious person either. She made it sound like she made clear that it was my choice, that I didn't in any shape or form have to find God. But she said, and I quote her words, she's like, you don't have to find him, but if it were me, I would hopefully prefer you to find him at your own pace and in your own time. She's like, let alone if you have a kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, no kids, by that time you find him. And I'm like, so I don't right now, and you wouldn't be mad at me. She's like, honey, I don't care if you hail Satan. You are my only daughter. Not her only child, but she's like, you are my only daughter. And if you never find him, that's okay. And I'm like, but you always made me go to church. And that's when she was like, I know I did. I know I made you and your siblings go to church. But that was before I realized that if you force your child to go to church, they are less likely to follow that religion. Proven fact. And she's like, and I feel horrible because now none of my kids might not follow the word of God. And I'm like, you're looking at one. And she's like, but I really hope that each and every one of you find your way to God. And I'm like, thanks, Mom. So the next day when my therapist came to pick someone else up, I'm like, hey, let me talk to you real quick. And she's like, okay. And then we ran. She pretty much fast walked to the group room. And she's like, what's up? And I'm like, so I talked to my mom last night. She's like, oh, thank Lord, she probably talked to you sometimes. And I'm like, no, she didn't. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, she didn't. And she's like, well, what did y'all talk about? And I'm like, I don't have to find God right now. She's like, yes, you do, or your treatment won't be done. And I'm like, my judge never said I had to finish my treatment. He just said I had to get better and do as I was told. And I am doing as I'm told. But here's the thing, sister. My mother, and I quote, told me I can find God on my own terms, on my own time. And I will tell the judge that. And I did. And he was okay with it. He's like, never said you had to finish your treatment, but you were, it's fine. And then she was like, but you have to find him. And I'm like, honey, I will in my own time. It might not be now, and it might not be ever, but you can't force someone to find something that they don't want to in that moment. And she couldn't see that. Like, my whole unit, they had to find God before she would okay their release. And there were like 13, 14-year-olds in there. And I couldn't bring myself to do it because A, I knew I was turning 18. And B, I knew my mama said it was okay that I didn't have to find him. So I was just like, I had a Bible. Yes, I read it. But I I didn't believe in it. Because it was just like, why would God do so much stuff and then just... I don't really know how to explain it, but it's just like, some of that stuff doesn't really make sense to me, and do not try to push it on me. I will not listen, because... But maybe eventually I will maybe go back to church. I'm thinking about it. But, yeah. Don't push your religion on people. Just don't do it. It's not cool. Anyway, guys, I don't know when I'll post again. It's been a really good minute since I posted anything. With all this pandemic going on and stuff, just not really much has happened. It's been pretty boring. My fiance is back at work already. This is great. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your evening, or whatever it is there. I love you guys, and just be you, honey. Don't let other people tell you what to do. Alright, guys, I will see y'all in the next one. I love you.